Go now to DryerBuzz.com and follow at DryerBuzz on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all about the buzz.
Welcome, everybody, to hashtag We Are Becoming. Everybody all over the nation is excited because our hashtag Forever Flotus. I hate to keep saying hashtag, but we're in that world. Forever Flotus Michelle Obama is on tour. And every week you see each city's excitement as the Flotus has, swooped in to their town. And we're counting down the days or the weeks that she is headed to Atlanta, May the 11th, I believe. Angela got the golden tickets, and she has asked DryerBuzz to come along. And I said, well, we got to do something in that vein, and that is a podcast. And, of course, a couple other things we're working out. But each week we pick a part of the book. So if you don't have the book, you can kind of get immersed into it a little bit hanging out with us. If you do have the book, we'll note the chapter or little pieces that we are talking about. But even if you get the book, get the audio. And Angela and I even debated if we need that third option. Because it is such curriculum, okay? And believe it or not, let me tell you, it is literally that such curriculum. I was listening to chapter 19, Angela, and I thought I was moving through the chapters, but then when she said chapter 20, and I was like, what? All of that was one chapter. But today you have us, and I left my notes of that chapter 14. We're going to talk about a piece of chapter 14 and a piece of chapter 17. And before we bring everybody in, the second one that you gave me, I think really kind of sets the tone for the conversation. So we can go back and reference it, but I really kind of want to start with that.
Sounds
if
good.
You don't mind. Okay, good. Let me see here. Let me get it up to my ear because I'm doing a headphone thing too.
I knew I'd at least done something good for myself in speaking up about my needs. There was power I felt in just saying it out loud.
There you go. Oh, Angela, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And that is in the context of her going in to interview for a new job and really coming in with a big ask. And so that's really what we're going to talk about today is the ask, right? And so many of us are afraid to ask, right? Or we get tired of asking. But for the most part, we're afraid to ask. And Yolanda, you've got a really great take on that about the ask. People know their why, but not their ask. So this, I thought, gosh, this is exactly right. And you can see, again, we're using chapters to focus in on a topic, but really would be throughout. These are thematic throughout the entire book. And so this, as Yolanda said, this really is a curriculum. You can read it with one lens and then another and then another. But you can see repeatedly that Michelle knew her why, but had to come back around to the ask. Whoop, we got some kind of sound.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to raise my volume. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, and, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. So, that she knew her why. She was very clear on what her values were and are, right? Speaking in the present tense. But she had to learn how to frame those asks. And sometimes it was ask and ask again. So this segment that you played, that's in chapter 14. And if you're following along in the book, and this is when she's now, she's got 2 babies, right? Rock is on he's campaigning for locally there as in Illinois. He's gone a lot. She's trying to figure out what to do. She still wants to have her career. How is she going to work? What is she going to do? And so she goes in and basically says, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to ask big. And she goes in to the interview, and we may play some more of this, but the part that impressed me was she had a list of demands. She's trying to get a job, right? She has a list of things she's got to have, and she takes the baby, right? She takes baby Sasha, I believe, with her. Yeah, Sasha is a little, and she just takes the baby along. When she says 3 months old, she just took the baby with her. And she said, this is it. I got to have what I need for me and this baby, right? And I was like, how many of us would be bold enough to take our baby on our job interview?
And if you remember when she first, one of her what was to be her first platform, and she was even called out for it because she had to kind of leap from, I think I want to do this, I think I want to do that. But the first initiative of going into the White House was going to be the whole work-life balance for women and mothers and so forth. That was first before they, before the whole let's move part really took off and worked for her. But when we kept thinking about, or when as I was listening to her ask, the entire book was, and one of the things I alluded to earlier between you and I is that when we talk about the ask, I want people to understand we're not talking about asking permission,
Yeah.
but yet asking for assistance. And the big ask is asking America to be their president and first lady.
Mm-hmm.
So I love how she explained that hers, it came with no job description. She was like, okay, well, if there's no job description, there's no expectations, the ask, I mean, all throughout the book, asking the mom to come,
Mm-hmm.
getting the brother to ask the mom, realizing the brother had a little bit more influence. Think about, and we all, and I don't know if everybody remembers it, but I remember the day, or thinking about the day, I always thought about this after Barack Obama was elected, just the day of somebody coming home, your spouse coming home and saying that something that big is the dream. That's an ask. Can we go for this? The ask of starting the family, because they spent a lot of time together before they even started there. There were so many asks there, but an awareness came upon her because she was always kind of in the controlling position on a lot of her life, right? There were a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people had to go to her for the ask. Here was, I think, the flip of the script for her was, whoa, I now have to ask for what I needed, because we saw even when she was a recruiter for the law firm, she knew negotiating, she knew her
Mm-hmm.
ask and all that. But here, I think what she talks about in the book is that vulnerable side of the ask. I got to put it all out. I got to put it out there that, listen, I don't know what I'm doing in this. I need some assistance. That was the ask that we're talking about.
Well, and that's such a good point, Yolanda. This is the vulnerable ask, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
not the I'm in my job and I'm going to ask, I'm going to ask for something that is certainly that I should get, or I'm going to pursue a lead, or just anything that would be an expectation that you ask for. No, this is the vulnerable piece. And as you say, she's a lawyer. She's negotiating all the time. She understands give and take. This is a different, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, this is a different level. This is a deeper, more personal level to say, okay, there are things that I'm going to have to ask for that I may not get, right? This is about uncertainty. And here is a person, Michelle says about herself, she likes certainty. She wants a plan. She has check boxes. We're going to have a routine and a schedule and boom, boom, boom. And now suddenly she gets thrust into this uncertainty. And it's an uncertainty that starts really with deciding to marry someone who was not in the checkbox of the plan, right? That she'd be at the
Right.
law firm, he could run a foundation. They'd both work 9 to 5. They'd have some kids. They would, vacation. They'd save their money. They'd have maybe a vacation home and retire. She had a plan, right? So just that was moved. Just marrying Barack Obama was a shift into uncertainty, and then the uncertainty just kept adding up and growing and growing. So he starts this. He becomes very active in politics. Then she can't get pregnant, right? Then she has
Mm-hmm.
children, but her husband's not there to share the load, right? Then they're going to go
Mm-hmm.
into the present. She's trying to figure out how to work and be a mother, right? How does she find work that she likes, that she enjoys, and is a mother and is a wife and is navigating a husband with a political career? Then throw all that on top of he decides to run for president. And so none of this is certain. And as you say, the ask to the American people, we want to be your president and first lady, it was uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
He was certain he could do it. She wasn't, right? So all this uncertainty is very destabilizing. And that was, of all the things in the book, really, the two things that struck me were the things that we talked about in the very first episode was about striving. This is a woman who she's got drive and ambition, and that's striving. From a baby, I'm there with you, Michelle. I understand the striving. But this other side as well of trying to navigate identity and navigate her identity of what she thought it was going to be to what was presented with her, and to do so successfully, not always perfectly, right? There's a great line about not doing things perfectly, but doing them with excellence. And I'm like, that's it. She was like, you're not going to be perfect. There's going to be failures, but she continued to excel. And why? What's the secret? This is what I'm trying to put my nose in this book and figure out, right? And what I'm going to listen for when I'm there in the audience and looking her in their face, right? Is what's the secret of how did you navigate all that uncertainty, still stay yourself, even though you would buoy one way or the other, and and get through it intact with clearly you read this and you can see that even as she had to step into a background as a person who's used to being in the foreground, she still maintained herself. And how was it? She just kept asking and asking and asking.
And then there was the part where she would adjust to a role, and I think like the part when she asked for the training, that was the one where she thought she settled in. She thought, oh, this is going to be my role. But then based on the feedback and knowing that, oh, wait, part of the country is really driven by this first lady. So then she knew that there was a larger lens on her. I love the part. I just want to make sure I just kind of acknowledge this part when they first went to the White House, and the guy, the security guy, the first Secret Service tells her, "Okay, your life's about to change." When you see all of this come around this corner to pick you up, I love her describing that moment, but you kind of get a sense of the pain and the fear when they day in and day out, as their days start growing, their number of days start growing in the White House, and she realizes that she can't sit back and be as settled as she thought she was going to be. That this feedback is coming in on how she's walking, how she's talking, what she's doing, everything, critiquing everything, and she says, "Is that what was that the part two? I think it's maybe the first one because I played the second one."
Yeah, so there's there's two in that first clip. I don't in chapter 14, and then that one in chapter 17 is where she starts talking about asking for media training and getting support through that.
Okay, so the third one is
the third one. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so you want to play the first one?
Yeah, go ahead and play that one. I think this.
Let me play
we
this
can
one.
tie these together.
All right.
This is chapter 17.
I got it.
I knew I had the right skills and plenty of passion. But if I were to take it, I'd also need to operate from a position of strength on terms that worked for my family. I could nail it, I thought, if I wasn't overburdened with superfluous meetings and could be given the leeway to manage my own time, working from home when I needed to, dashing out of the office for daycare pickup or pediatrician's visit when necessary. Also, I didn't want to work part-time anymore. I was done with that. I wanted a full-time job with a competitive salary to match so that we could better afford childcare and housekeeping help, so that I could lay off the pine saw and spend my free time playing with the girls.
Okay, I'll let that one play, but that one was the one during the campaign.
Yeah, that's actually
senator when he was a senator.
Yeah. And that's actually right, and that's actually connected to that's sort of the lead into to that first clip that you played there, where she's saying this is her ask for what she needed in her job, right? So she's going on an interview and she's going to say, I have to have proper childcare. I have to have a salary that will support me. I have to have flex time. I have to be able to work from home. I have to, I may have to leave to take care of my kids. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to ask for all of this. And she said, if I have this structure in place, I can be the mom. I can be a working mom whose husband is involved in his career to the point that he's not going to be hands-on day to day at home. She wasn't at that point was going to have, I think they had some sort of a babysitter nanny kind of helping with the kids, but that was it, right? And so she understood. It took her a while to get there, but she got very clear at that point where she's sort of in this transition, right? Got these kids now. Tried to work part-time. She's like, nope, I want to work full-time. I need to make enough money to have the support structure. Here's the support I need. And then she went in and she asked for it and she didn't flinch. She did not flinch from the ask. And so that to me was like the rehearsal, right, for the campaign, where then she's really going to have to start asking, because as you said, in her career, she's feeling strong. She had trepidation around being a mom, but she's getting that down. Now she's in a totally new. I mean, like I said, this woman just keeps getting dropped into new situations.
And keep in mind, we're talking about
beyond her
not
control.
knowing that you are history making in this moment.
No.
That all of these things are going to, like, she doesn't know yet that her life is on this trajectory, or that she's going to end up, because this is not their plan. Because, like you said, she met this guy. He's coming in through the same law firms as she is, right? And they're supposed to be these great lawyers, and they're going to make this money, and they're going to, have the 2.5 kids and their vacation home. But now he's got a sense of service.
Yeah.
Right? She's got a sense of corporate. And remember, she talked about a little bit how his sense of service would rub off on her. Because, I mean, she was to be this high-powered attorney, but yet he had a sense of service. So at this time, while they're starting this young family, he's rising up the political ladder. He's now headed off in center, because even she talked about in one, I think when I listened to the entire paragraphs, she was talking about them going to visit him in DC while he was there as a senator. So, they had this dynamic of a family. And imagine if she didn't have the courage to go in their family meetings and say, hey, look, this is the ask, that things could have fallen apart. And that's the thing about it. How many of us just kind of watch it fall apart, or don't live it because it's going to disrupt this and that? But you got to ask. There's so many people that are just afraid of asking. There's so many people we think that are overnight success. And it's not that they're overnight success. Is that they finally probably spoke up, and they finally got the yes. When she knew at the moments, and she lingered, some things linger, and she's like, okay, wait, I've got to ask, because this is exhausting me. Right? Trying to juggle all of this stuff. And this is not what we discussed. This is not the life that she planned when she was, living in the south side of Chicago. Even though she knew, because she's met this guy, he's kind of worldly, right? And it's like, whoa, what is this? And I think she had a lot of whoa moments, like wow moments. Still again, not knowing that they're on their way to making history, but still a lot of wow moments. But we have to learn from her ask. And you said, and I know that was the other one, but go ahead. We'll jump to the
yes,
third one.
And no, you go ahead and pull that third one up. And I think it's really important to say, though, that she was always the captain of her fate, right? She was actively involved. And Barack said to her, if you don't want me to run, I won't. And she thought hard about it. And in fact, she negotiated that, right? And she had to ask around that. She said, fine. This was back when she was running for Senate, for political, for Senate. Yeah. And she said, if you lose, you're done. We're done. Right? If you lose, we're done. And and she had no problem putting that out there, and no doubt would have stood by it. And he was like, okay, deal. And so she's all along thinking he's not going to be a senator. Then she's thinking he's not going to be president, right? I mean, it's like there's so many things.
That has to be. I mean, I know the entire world was awestruck when it came down. It's like we won. I still want to know, and I love her describing those days of like, wow, we won, and then you getting your transition team and all that together. But just, can you imagine? Okay, I'm gonna do this with him. It's always these. Okay, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that. But here's my ask. Okay, I remember. I don't know who interviewed them. We talk about an ask. I remember there was one interview prior to going into the White House. I think sometime during the transition, they sat down. I still can't. I don't know if it was Barbara Walters or somebody, and I know right when they won, Thanksgiving was coming up. But this Thanksgiving was going to be different, because it's like, okay, you can't just have the family. You just became president. We can't just have the family over for turkey dinner. And I remember Barack saying something about maybe a little bit of chaos, or a little bit of something was not just quite right. And I mean, she stopped the interview. And we don't have that kind of misunderstanding. We don't have that kind of miscommunication. As if we don't move forward. You mean to tell me there was a moment when you were unsure? There was a moment when you were unsatisfied in something that went on around us, and I don't know about it? I mean, she literally Stop the interview. Like, wait, let me have this moment with my husband because
Mm-hmm.
you need to know I got your back if you need it. And so she gave him a lesson in asking. If you remember, throughout campaign and then throughout the first term and all of that, he would always reference the strength in her ask
Mm-hmm.
because she would always keep them. I mean, she was just literally the backbone. And I sent you a photo of where this was the first photo where the lens went beyond Barack Obama and caught a glimpse
Mm-hmm.
of Michelle Obama, and that's when we really saw the protectiveness, the umbrella that she had over her family. I'm going to play this third clip, and
Yep.
we're moving to that segment. About 7 more minutes to go, guys. All right, hold on.
Yep.
I'd never received media training or speech prep. No one, I realized, was going to look out for me unless I pushed for it, knowing that the gaze was only going to intensify as we moved into the last 6 or so months of the campaign. We agreed finally that I needed real help. If I was going to continue to campaign like a candidate, I needed to be supported like a candidate.
So
Because I
consider,
mean, go ahead,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, consider the fact that this is a time that she's been campaigning for a year. She's getting hammered over something that she said. Basically, they just sort of tossed her out there and given her no preparation, right? No,
Mm-hmm.
nothing, right? And then they call her in and like, we got some issues, and she's like, okay, yeah, I got issues too, because you've just sent me out here to juggle and do things that I don't know how to do. And so she finally said, if you're going to treat me like a candidate, if I'm going to act like a candidate, I get the respect and the treatment and the support of a candidate. And I thought, how many of us understand our situation, are well enough to say, you know what, I'm functioning in this role, right? I think about this in business all the time. I'm giving my clients this, but I'm only asking as though I'm doing one thing. I'm doing 10 things, right? In my job, I'm acting like a senior manager, and I'm down here happy to, I'm afraid to ask to move up from a junior manager, right? But she understood what was happening, but it took her a year to figure out, well, what's missing, and she finally said, you guys are making me act like a candidate, then you're going to treat me like a candidate, and you're going to give me the support of a candidate. And then boom. I mean, look at how she was able to thrive in the public eye. So but it was this if you're going to look at this is to me the lesson to go back and look at as she's figuring things out in her life, is that she comes up with a plan. She sees where there's a problem. It's not working. She tries something. Then she asks I'm working full time. I'm going to have to go part time. Okay. All right. Well, no, I'm going to quit this job because this isn't working. I'm going to go ask for a full time job, but I'm going to take my baby with me because this is important. At every point, she reassesses and goes and asks for something that I think most people, I'm looking at myself and I'd be like, God, would I ask for that? Is there a point where I would just, like in the campaign when she's just being pummeled, she talks about being punched in the face, right? It's like being punched in the face over and over again. Is there a point? And she even said there was a point where she said, maybe, she goes to, maybe I'm a liability. Maybe I should just stay home. Right. And he's like, honestly, he was like, well, whatever you want to do, dear.
And the funny, the irony in all of this is that for those that there will be a generation that would not have lived this with them. And I can remember these moments. I can remember much of the feedback. And I've been in a kind of producer mode trying to get the clips. And so let me just talk about a couple of comments here. But I just remember when they asked her to come out on the campaign trail and all the things that she needed to put in place before she did that. The makeover. Everybody remembers the great makeover because she got just a lot of slack for just appearing as a wife, as if that was a bad thing. Remember we talked about it earlier, her having to, hey, look, these are my credentials, letting people know exactly who she was. So shout out to everybody hanging out in the room. If you do catch this on a particular platform, we do tape it live Tuesdays around 4 p.m. on Periscope so that you can see your comments. You can dial in with us. ZJ says Michelle was able to submit to her husband without feeling diminished personally. Let's see. Seems Michelle came to realize her preparation gave her options. And then there's so much, let me see, there's so much investment in their realization of the union of the they was supreme. And I think we finally got to see that, because even she talked about how the other first ladies kind of struggled with that. You know, they came in, we had modern presidents, but this was the first time the lens actually went all in. You know, they were all in. We saw everything. We experienced everything. Everything had to be reported on. Whereas back in the day, hey, after 6 o'clock, there was no more news. You weren't going to get any more. If something happened, you didn't get it to the next day. But I think they, in that campaign, knew that they had to be 24 hours on. And I think that's why she knew. I know he's laughing because we hear you pouring your drink, but this is life, honey. We're live and interact. That's okay. Sounds good to me, because you know me, I'm all about the lemonade. Hopefully you're drinking lemonade. Or is it lemonade or tea?
It's
but anyway,
tea.
It's tea. That's what I said. I knew the sound. Okay, so we got about 2 minutes left. But again, guys, we have been approved on your podcast. And I don't want to mention them all, because you may be listening on one that may not be friendly with the other. But do check your favorite podcast platform. We take this just as it is and post it so you can listen. Again, as Michelle Obama arrives in your area, let us know how it was, how it worked out, who got to do the interview. We are told that we have Gail King, which is going to be absolutely awesome. But the thing about Atlanta is, here in Atlanta, it's going to be in a larger venue. I think only a couple places, a lot of places have had kind of I don't want to say intimate theater, but a theater style. Here we're in an arena style. So, even though we're probably going to have amazing screens and not going to miss a beat, I think some of the other places are more fitting for a book club type conversation. Definitely. So, I keep wanting to say Jay-Z, but ZJ, I am agreeing with you all, Yolanda. Great podcast. My first one. Thanks so much for catching it. Again, I'm Yolanda at DryerBuzz, 17 years blogging. Angela is also Atlanta. She's a great marketing and media strategist. And so if you guys are looking, Angela Stalkup, AngelaStalcup.com. Go to her website, get some great information. If you are looking for, like Michelle Obama, some of that great media training and really how to tell your story, how to pivot and all those great things. And then once you get your story down, come over to me and I'll make you a headline. So Angela, again, thank you so much for a great podcast.
Thank you, Yolanda. And just as a wrap up, think about what is your why? What do you need to ask? Don't be afraid to ask it. If it's no, come up with a new ask, right? But what is the ask that you need today? What help do you need to ask for? What support do you need to ask for? What goal or intention do you need to ask for? So, let's all go out and do a big ask, right? And I'm going to say, take my big ass and do a big ask. So there we go.
And that's it. Don't be afraid, because that could be your beginning, or that could be your becoming. I'll put it that way. All righty. All righty, guys. We are becoming a podcast, so we'll catch you guys here next Tuesday. If you don't have the book, go get the book so you can keep up with us. All right, Angela.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Go now to DryerBuzz.com and follow at DryerBuzz on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's all about the buzz.